My name's Andrew Taggart.
My name's Chloe Lewis. We're an artist duo from Canada, and we live in Bergen, Norway. We've been working together for the last 6 years.
Our practice is a bit of a continuous investigation of what it means to make an object or produce like objects in in the present, with such a excess of production. So often our projects gravitate around this examination of excess and how culture produces like a kind of excess. And when we came here, one of the things that we found and discovered was this excess production of postcards that had been produced by the castle as a kind of way to produce a kind of cultural image of itself. And then those postcards at some point were no longer visually appealing anymore and discarded. Or not discarded, but just stored without any usage. So that material is interesting to us, and that in parallel with the nature of the castle and its kind of continuous evolution, and how, if you think of, you could say, like, I mean, in a very maybe banal way, that the castle could be seen as kind of a sculpture that's constantly in transformation. And that energy that was bound up in the castle, we found very, what's the word, very like,
Generative, perhaps.
Generative and inspiring. And so we used that generative space and we sort of started working with the material that we found.
And I think one thing we talked about is that when we discovered the transformation that the castle had been going through over the last 800 years or something like that, it became to us like a bit of an analogy for the creative process itself. Mm-hmm. And then when we started, so we decided to pick up on this reconstruction through working with these postcards that we found that were produced sometime in the late 80s. All we set to do at first was to use every single one and transform them into a project. And we didn't necessarily know what that was going to look like. So, and we have, often when we work, our methodology involves a lot of collecting in the place where we live and in that moment. So in this case, that was Warsaw and specifically the castle. So we started to collect a lot of material, a lot of printed material, but also just garbage and discarded physical material. And that started weaving its way into this collection of sculptures and collages that we were making with the postcards. And we stopped after making about 200 of them. We took a bit of a break and we started thinking about how to present it and how to formulate it. One of the things we'd been really interested in when we first came to the castle was the museum within the museum, which is this small room. It's a bit dusty and a little bit, I don't know, maybe it feels a little bit neglected. And it's this official archive of the castle's history. But it's a little bit of a lonely room and it doesn't get a lot of attention. But we liked this idea of the museum within the museum, and we liked this room that in a way was trying to capture this idea of the castle's ongoing reconstruction. So we felt like our project would be well suited to intervene into that space, and that's what ended up happening. This work here is, it's one postcard that we burned into ashes and then put into a small plastic bag and stapled to the back of another postcard. So I think this work, we were really interested in capturing this spirit of destruction and then the regeneration that follows. One artist that we discovered here in Warsaw is Edward Kruszyński, and we were very moved by him and by his history and by his contribution to the avant-garde in Warsaw. So this was our Kruszyński tribute, and this blue line, of course, that he does everywhere, and this kind of horizon and always kind of really bringing the viewer back to this kind of worldly material place. This is a bear, obviously. This is one of the bears from the zoo, the Warsaw Zoo. And as you know, of course, the bears sit outside the zoo almost on a highway, so that they're almost like a draw for viewers to enter the zoo. So they're there as a bit of a lure, I would say. And as a newcomer to Warsaw, I think a lot of people are probably quite taken aback by the proximity of these bears to the urban space. And we found this image of one of these bears, and he looks quite sort of depressed and a bit bored, I would say, in this picture, and it seemed to really capture the life of these animals in this space, and we wanted to create a bit of a, kind of monumentalize this creature, like through this collage. But it was nice because there was someone in the exhibition the other day when we were here, and she said, oh, then this must be the bear of Russia. That's sort of descending upon Warsaw, so that was nice. It's nice. We definitely are like to leave the work open to any, we're happy with any interpretation of our work, so it's always nice to hear some feedback from people who come and see the show.